All right, Roger Martin here from X22 Reports. Now I'm copying the report, but this part here with the CIA being involved in drug deals and weapon deals across the border, and this isn't the first time. Many people from Vietnam said the CIA was into drug deals uh, with the soldiers. So they haven't been a clean organization ever since their conception. But here goes.
Will promote dialogue and a roadmap that allows us to move forward to reduce the flow of weapons and money to organized crime from the United States to Mexico.
Now I got to back up. He talks about how the president signed a presidential order to designate the cartels in Mexico as terrorists, and this is going to open a dialogue between Mexico and the United States uh, to investigate the weapons and drugs that are going across the border both ways. And you're going to see how crooked the CIA and other groups are that were jerking around people in the United States and in Mexico.
As well as chemical and drug precursors that cross our territory to the North Country. Now, think about this for a second. Why did Trump come out and say we're going to designate the Mexican drug cartels as terrorist organizations? This will allow Mexico to investigate what's coming from the United States to investigate what's coming from Mexico. Does Fast and Furious ring a bell? Remember Operation Fast and Furious? This had to do with Obama, Eric Holder. They were taking weapons and they were putting these weapons in the hands of criminals south of the border. And it was thousands upon thousands of weapons. And these weapons were used to kill many, many people. Why do you think Trump is doing this? He's starting the investigations to understand, or let the American people understand, what was really going on, what these operations were all about.
So again, exposing Obama and Eric Holder and other individuals as the criminals they are and what they did criminally. You think this Ukraine thing is tough. You think this Russian narrative is tough. You wait when these investigations get ruling. It will really show the wickedness of Obama and his administration as the criminals they really were, and how they're connected with the CIA and the deep state. Both.
Why the weapons were being sent into Mexico. Why the drug precursors were being sent into Mexico. Why these cartels, they were allowed to come into the United States and bring the drugs here. Remember, the war on drugs is not about stopping all drug running. It's about stopping the competition for the CIA. So the CIA is the sole organization that pushes the drugs.
Now again, the CIA has made a lot of money on drug running. Let's be perfectly clear about that. And why it has not been stopped is because of its blackmailing and abusive systems for control. And drug running was one way to get the money for some of their control in their operations, pathetically. And CIA was great-grandfather Bush is the one that started the CIA through Nazi spies. I've said that again and again. Do your research. And it is one of the most crooked and obscene criminal groups that we've ever had in the United States. And the Bushes brought that in.
That's what the war on drugs is all about. And this is why Trump is putting up a wall. He's closing down all of these operations. Now, very interestingly, we know that Thanksgiving is coming up, and I just want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, which is tomorrow. But what's very interesting, there are two turkeys in the White House, bread and butter. And yes, Trump pardoned one of the turkeys, and we know as Thanksgiving goes, you eat turkey on Thanksgiving. But what's very interesting is the names of the turkeys, Bread and Butter. And this is coming from Stormy Patriot Joe. It says, trying to figure out POTUS message for Butter, the turkey for got pardoned. My thought is Assange will be eventually pardoned. Found a few articles with Assange and Butter in them. And Trump says he named Butter, and there's also Bread, and he pardoned one of the turkeys. Stormy Patriot Joe continued, I think this has legs. The other turkey was named Bread. So Bread and Butter both were in these articles about Julian Assange. So let's take a look at this for a sec. This is the first article where it says Julian Assange, roommate from hell. We both like raw meat, steak tartare with onions. The fact that I took longer to eat my share was because I ate it with whole grain bread and butter. Now the other article is an attempt password crack was enough for a U.S. indictment against Julian Assange. And this reads as follows. This is very simply that Chelsea Manning had a certain level of access because of a clearance. Manning was giving information already. Manning and Assange made an agreement to get more information. He said, to do that, they had to break the password. And that's the bread and butter of the CFAA. So both of these articles mention bread or butter. One of them mentions bread and butter. And I do believe that Trump is making a reference to Julian Assange, letting everyone know that he is going to be pardoned. And remember, he is the key. And I do believe he's going to be extradited back here to the United States. And he's going to present the evidence. How do we know this? Well, today, Trump tweeted out a picture of his head on Rocky's body. Now, we need to remember that Rocky made many different Rocky movies. There was Rocky 1, there was 2, 3, 4. I think there was 5 and maybe even more than that. I lost count. But this particular movie, when he was fighting Drago, this was in Russia. Rocky had to fly out to Russia because he lost the initial fight to Drago. And he flew out there and he trained out in Russia. And if you remember the fight in the movie, Rocky allowed Drago to throw all the punches. Rocky sat back and took each punch by defending his body. Drago started to tire. It seemed like he had the upper hand. He was beating Rocky. He was a lot taller than him. He was much more muscular, and he towered over Rocky. And his punches were very, very hard. He hit Rocky really hard, but Rocky put up his hands and he protected his body. He got hit. And after a while, this big guy started to tire out. He couldn't throw any more punches. The punches, they were coming, but the impact, it just wasn't there. And on this day, November 27th, 1985, this is when the movie was released. Trump tweeted out this picture on November 27th, 2019. Why? Because Rocky knocked out Drago in the 15th round. Remember, Trump is a counterpuncher like Rocky. He doesn't hit first, but when he fights back, the punch is powerful. It's harder than anything before. And if you really compare this to the deep state was large, wasn't it? The swamp was gigantic. It was wide. It was deep. They had all the power. And in the beginning, their punches were very, very hard. They hit Trump very hard. They had the Russian collusion. But as time went on, the punches, the events were not that hard. They were getting tired. They were weakening. And over time, they continued to weaken.
Now I must inject something in here. We're getting into 3 years of the presidency, almost 4 years. And he's had to put with all this resistance, all these tribulations. Why? To clear out the deep state, to clear players that were implanted, to destroy him in there, to solidify the Republican Party, to weaken the Democratic Party, to get trade deals done with China, tariffs and other things, to get the monetary system going, to work on the border, to work on central bank, to work on executive orders, to work on the criminals with these human trafficking and sexual crimes. I mean, the list goes on and on. Even though the Democrats have not been doing anything, Trump has been working very hard with military intelligence, high military intelligence, and with all white hats to get this judicial system under control, that the crimes that have been committed can go to court and be executed, and these individuals can be executed and tried and executed. So what is out front and what appears to by the media is nothing but a show and a con job. But what has been going on behind the scenes is everything. This is great political maneuvering, great strategy, and great counterpunching from what has been going on in the face of everything. And this will be shown as he wins the 2020 election to be paramount and essential foundation for the executions and the trials and the crimes that will be brought out in the next 4 to 6 years, even beyond his presidency.
Trump put this picture out there to let us all know that it's now time for the patriots to hit the deep state. The deep state is tired. They're exhausted. They have nothing left. Trump was waiting for the right moment. It's time to knock out the deep state. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening.
I hope this really happens, but I'm afraid that the deep state may be bigger and more powerful in both parties than Trump. That is my greatest fear. I hope I am wrong. I hope I am wrong. Again, listen to this guy. He's one of the greatest reporters on the deep state and things that are going on with Q and other individuals. Good day. This is Roger Martin from Billings, Montana. It's coming. December 9th is not that far away. The 1st is this Sunday. We only got 9 more days after the 1st to get some of this stuff starting to roll, finally, after 3 years. Almost 4 years. Good day.